We are all doing life, but who knew life could be this funny? It's Doing Life with Maria and Chad. It's our podcast.
So many great things coming up on this podcast, including a first. Our 15-year-old daughter experienced a first over the weekend, and that made us empty nesters because she's out of town. We observed, we commiserated with a parent that was dealing with a child. I'll tell you all about that and so much more. Stay tuned and don't miss our final question at the end of today's podcast.
Chad, you know that my daughter Lucy graduated from college, correct?
Yeah, she was, because she was so smart. She finished early, right? Is that it? She got good grades?
She did graduate early, but spring.
She got good grades. Yeah, she graduated early.
So spring break came around and she wants to go on spring break. I'm like, well, you don't have spring break anymore. You're a college graduate. You have a real job.
Yeah.
But her friends are still in college. So anyway, I think I told you during the last podcast that she booked this VRBO and they canceled on her like 10 days before she was supposed to go. Do you remember?
Yeah, and let me pause you too. That was me as well. I finished college early and I went on spring break after I was...
Did you?
Yeah, because we were on trimester, so I finished just before spring break. So for me, I was like, I'm done with school, but all my friends were going on spring break. I went. Yeah, so I don't judge. I think it's good that she's going.
Well, and it was cool. So anyway, so this first one cancels. They give her money back and she's panicked because... You know, she's less than 2 weeks out. All these girls, there's 10 girls. They're all counting on her because she was in charge of booking the place.
Okay. Because she's responsible. Yeah.
She is actually. And she finds a new place. And this is, just to give you a time frame, they were supposed to check in on Thursday. And she had to work Thursday, so she was going to be later. So the other girls were actually going to do the physical checking in because she had to work and she was going to show up later.
Okay.
So girls are on their way. They're in the car. They're driving from Arizona to California. There's another girl who bought a flight. She is like going to be in the air momentarily.
Uh-huh.
Lucy gets a text message 2 hours before they're supposed to check in. This guy canceled their VRBO.
Oh my gosh, man. So what'd they do?
Like there's girls on the road to California.
Yeah, and she's not there, but it's still her responsibility to secure a place for them to stay.
Well, it is totally shitty that this guy did this 2 hours before they're supposed to check in.
And no reasoning, right? He didn't go, I realized you're a bunch of college girls.
Well, that would have been better.
Yeah.
But he would have known that because you have to put your age down, you know, when you do one of these things.
Yeah, and Lucy said she was 65.
Yeah. and Lucy, I guess the guy, she called the guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, she stepping up was going to be like, what the heck, guy, you know? And the guy would not answer her phone call. He did text, and his comment was something came up, the place isn't ready, or whatever bull crap excuse it was.
Yeah, wow.
And so now she's panicking. She's got 9 other girls. They have to find a place. Spring break time in California. They get a hotel. And I don't know if it was the same price or what the deal was, but it's still not a house where you can cook your own meals and, you know, do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they did find a place. She did have a good time. She did call VRBO and laid it, not into them, but laid into this guy. VRBO called him and we're like, what the heck? He wouldn't answer. So VRBO refunded Lucy her money and gave her like another 10%. So like another 150 or $160 or whatever.
Oh, for her trouble? That's great.
Yeah. My thought though was it's too big of a hassle to take this guy to small claims court. But if we lived in California, I would have Lucy take him to task for canceling 2 hours beforehand, have him pay the difference between the hotel and what his place was. This girl who flew out had to take an Uber to where they were, and the Uber was $150.
Yeah, he'd be paying all that.
Yeah, all of it, plus a little pain and suffering for the hassle.
Wow,
you know?
That's horrible.
But because we're so far away. Obviously that's not going to happen. But I told Lucy, and my husband, Eric, actually told Lucy too, every one of those girls need to write a bad review about this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's all about reviews.
Well, I wonder, if this is something he does all the time. I would love to know his actual real story for canceling. If it was, he goes, all right, it's a bunch of college kids. I can't have that in my place. Or if it was some legit reason, not that any good reason.
And I'll say this, the first place she booked and he canceled, it's the same guy.
Oh, so that's his thing.
So he had a couple different condos or whatever.
Well, hopefully it's on VRBO's radar now with this guy, that they know what he's up to. If he's using VRBO for multiple places, that could really come back to bite him. Our daughter.
Well, let me just one more real quick thing. I'm pretty hands off with Lucy. I kind of, she's an adult. I let her do her thing. But the mama bear in me came out. And I just wanted to call this guy and
yeah.
But I didn't because that's not my responsibility anymore. So anyway,
you made our daughter not be able to do beer pongs in your living room or beer bongs. Probably both beer pongs and beer bong. All right, here we go. Let's do this. My daughter went to spring break. She did not go to California. She did not have a VRBO. She turned 15 in January. And so all she's been talking about is that entitled her to be able to fly solo. And she's been all excited about that. So she did. She went on a flight on early Saturday morning. We took her to the airport and she flew direct flight to go see both grandmas. So nice. Over the weekend, she was with Steph's mom, and then she's with my mom until she comes back in a couple of days. But it all went fine. And obviously we, as parents, you're kind of worried a little bit, but it was just like, she sent us a picture. She had the whole row to herself. There was another teenage girl on the flight. Like, it was just no big deal. And she's flown lots of times with us, so she knows the drill. And she's got her own debit card now, so she went to Panera and she got herself some coffee. I mean, and she's a real grown up. But the thing that's been interesting since she's been gone, and I know you guys have experienced this since Lucy went off to college, is the empty nester thing. Like, we're not empty nesters, but we are for like almost a week or half a week or whatever. So we had all this time and it's quiet in the house because there's no teenager running around complaining about stuff. So yesterday, my wife and I thought it was nice outside, and we're like, we'll go to this park not far from our house, and we'll hang out and soak in the sun, right? It's nice outside. And so we're sitting there on this park bench, and we rode we have a tandem bike. We rode the tandem bike over there. So we're sitting there and just kind of like hanging out in the sun. And we look across the park. And again, we have no children at this point. And I don't know if you've ever seen, and I've never really watched a whole episode, but the Mystery Science 3000, where they're like sitting in the theater, like commentating on things that they can't hear or understand.
Right.
So across the park, we were the Mystery Science 3000 people. We were sitting there watching this dad, and I'm guessing the son was like 5 or 6 years old, and he is throwing a full-blown tantrum. I mean, the dad, he's a little overweight, if I can kind of paint the picture for you. The son is on the ground pounding his hands and his legs. And again, he's not a little baby. I mean, this is like a 5 or 6 year old, right?
Right.
So the dad is like trying to like get him off the ground and get him to walk with the direction that he's trying to get there. I mean, this goes on. That part of it is 3 or 4 minutes. A kid just throwing a tantrum. We're like, okay, where's the mom? Okay, I don't know. So then the kid gets up and the dad picks him up like over his head. Like, I don't know if to like try to console him. And then he sets him down and the kid goes running and the dad can't catch him. And they're running through the park and the dad like kind of stumbles a little bit. He didn't fall all the way down. And then he caught the kid. And again, he lifts him up and he sets him down and the kid runs away again. It was just like, I don't know if you could think of the Benny Hill theme, you know?
Yeah.
My wife and I are just sitting there going, yep, we don't have kids right now. This is so good. Because that could have been us at some point in our life.
Oh my God. Did you do commentary like the kids saying, but I don't want to, blah, blah, blah?
Well, it's funny. Yes. So my wife goes, I wonder where mom is at. And I go, I bet you she's with her new husband in San Diego at the beach. And then later on, the mom did show up. There was another kid involved. So they had split off. The mom had one kid and the dad had the bad kid. But
The bad
it just
kid.
made us thankful that, we weren't dealing with that at all. It was just kind of, and I know you see that too, as, time goes on and Lucy's not living with you anymore. Like the differences of being without child,
I will say I miss my daughter.
Yeah.
But I'm happy she has her own place and her own life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wondered, because is she still working virtually, like while she has college roommates?
Yes.
How does that go? Like, I can imagine it's got to be kind of tough to get work done at.
Well, her biggest complaint is she wished she had like another bedroom for her office.
Yeah.
So she's just has her own bedroom as her office.
Yeah.
But at this point, she can't afford to kick out one of the roommates because she'd have to pay the rent for the other room for the office.
Right. Well, hopefully they're respectful.
She's doing fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Speaking of my daughter, when she first learned how to drive, and you're going to have a driver soon with your 15-year-old.
We got to get on that. We got to get her in those classes.
Yeah. So I had a Jeep Wrangler, and it's old, 2004. And so when she turned 16, Lucy got that car.
Right.
And we always said later on down the road that my husband drives a Kia Optima. She would get the Kia Optima. Eric would get a new vehicle, and then she'd be done with us supplying her vehicles.
Right.
That would be it. So while she's in California, an opportunity comes up where a friend of ours, his mother no longer drives, and so he asked us if we wanted to buy her car. And it's a Dodge something or another. I have no idea what it is.
Okay.
But it's a 2012 and has like 34,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And in the last 3 years, it's only been driven like 5,000 miles. I mean, it's a great car.
Yeah.
It's on the outside, it looks beautiful. It's pretty standard on the inside, that kind of thing. So we couldn't pass up this deal. So we bought our daughter a new car thinking, I don't know, Mom and Dad bought me a new car. I'd be happy, right?
Yeah. It wasn't a Ferrari. It wasn't what she was expecting.
Not at all. I ended up telling her, hey, drunk Maria, because we did have a few cocktails on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we have a surprise for you. I can't tell you. And she's like, what is it? I'm like, okay, I'll tell you.
Really broke you down there. Cross-examination.
Yeah, right. So we tell her, hey, we bought you a new car. And she goes, why in the world would you buy a new car for me when I didn't ask for it?
What?
Right? She was a little bitch.
Well, she was at spring break. Was she after a few cocktails? Was that her mindset? That doesn't sound like Lucy.
Maybe.
Huh.
And I mean, this is all in text message too.
Okay. Okay.
So you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I was a little disappointed. I thought she'd be like, hey, thanks.
Does she, are you going to give the car to her after that? I mean, is she going to use the car? She is. Okay.
I mean, and the reasoning is A, we want the Jeep back.
Okay.
And 2, B, this car is more fuel efficient. She can actually take it on the highway and take it on, trips. It's a cute little car. I'll send our producer Dan a photo, like a side view, because it's a cute little car, and we got it for a song.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a great stereo. If she wants to upgrade the stereo, pay for it. We just paid a bunch of money for you to have a new car.
I'm trying to think. 2012. Does it have a cassette deck?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to think what year those were phased out of cars. Like probably CD player, I would imagine.
Yeah, it has a CD player, and she actually listens to CDs, which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
Kim. There's a cartoon. Kim Possible. I think she listens to the Kim Possible CD, which is really funny.
Really? All right. Well, let me ask you this. On Netflix, I know you guys watch a lot of Netflix. Have you watched Behind Her Eyes yet? It's a series on...
Oh, yes.
Did you watch it all?
I did.
Don't ruin it if you've seen it all, because I'm just starting. But you've seen it?
Yes.
So you'll know who I'm going to talk about next. Her name is Eve Hewson, and she is also Bono from U2's daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's the
is
dark
that the
hair,
main girl?
The dark hair, yeah. Yeah, so that's Bono's daughter. And she was also on a TV series, I had to look it up, called The Nick, which is like critically acclaimed. But she was recently sharing, so her dad's Bono, right? So
Right.
she got into his phone. Well, just listen to this. It's her.
Yeah, I like to take advantage of my circumstances sometimes. When I was younger, I stole my dad's address book, and we tried to prank call a few people, but Justin Timberlake picked up, and we asked him trivia questions from the back of a cereal box. Yeah, it was one of the best moments of my life.
Isn't that crazy? It was like going through your dad's address book, and all of a sudden, oh, Justin Timberlake, let's see if he answers. And she was prank calling. But it made me think, I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you, the prank call that I did when I was in high school. Does this ring a bell at all?
I don't think so.
So this was track season. So in high school, that's the spring. And it was early in the year, and we had 2 or 3 meets a week. It was like way too many meets. And I think there was a Saturday where I wanted to do something else, and we had a track meet that was going to make us take the bus to a town, spend the whole day, drive back. And I'm like, this is just not a big enough meet. It's a waste of my time. That's my high schooler brain. So I called our local radio station as our track coach, because if something was canceled or rescheduled from weather or whatever, and I told them I was the track coach, and I canceled the meet, saying that the meet had been postponed so that I could, I'll never forget where I was. So the next morning, so this was on Friday night, the Saturday morning rolls around. My mom goes, hey, the track meet's been postponed. I'm like, oh, really? Very interesting. So my buddy and I go to this donut shop, and we're sitting at the donut shop. This is before cell phones. And my mom calls the donut shop, because she knows that's where I'm at. And they tells the person behind the little bakery window, hey, is Chad there? And they're like asking if I'm in the store. And they're like, your mom says the track meet is back on. You need to get to the school and get to the bus. And so I get there.
Oh my God.
With my buddy Anthony, and nobody on the bus knew this, obviously, including the coach who was impersonated, that I was the one that had called and fake canceled the track meet. But I walked into the bus, and everybody was getting scolded. Like, I'm going to find out who this is. And so I was like maybe freshman, sophomore. And so the upperclassmen, they were all mad because it had screwed with their day. And they're like, we're going to kill whoever did this. To this day, I mean, maybe some of them listen to the podcast now. I have never really publicly shared that story. But my buddy and I were looking at each other like, what did he do? Like, holy crap. So the whole day we were like just giggling about it, because, we ended up having to go to the track meet. But
now, is this the same track coach that called you at the radio station when we worked at the radio station?
That was my basketball coach.
Oh,
that was
basketball coach. Okay.
But I guarantee he knew about this story, because it was like, who would do that? And I was very unassuming. Well, I still am, but at that age, they would have never even guessed it was me. I was like, why would that guy do it?
That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was pretty. Yeah. It's just, it made me think of it when I heard of Bono's daughter using her phone or her dad's number to call Justin Timberlake. Have you done prank calls? Have you ever pranked anybody?
While you were talking, I was trying to think, and what I wrote down was prank call radio station, which is like ironic that yours is a radio station one. But I was the kid who would just call and request songs that I knew they didn't play just to screw with them. Hey, will you play AC/DC? We don't have AC/DC. Will you play blah, blah, blah? Nope, we don't have that. And I would just like run through all these random artists, and I could tell by the tone of the voice, the DJ was just like, get off the phone, you little brat.
So you've had karma from that.
That was me.
You've actually been on the other end of that later in life. People calling and asking.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get that right on coming up next after these commercials. Just stay right there. Now, go ahead.
Well, you know what I did today? This morning, I got in line and I got my travel ID.
Well, you text me because we had to kind of delay our recording today because of that. What is a travel ID, and why do you have one?
So the original you had to have it date was October 2020.
Okay.
And because of COVID, they extended it to October 2021.
Okay.
And the travel ID is going to allow you, and I don't really know all the reasoning why, other than you have to have it. But there's like a little star in the corner. And so like when you go down to Mexico, you can use that instead of your passport.
Okay, so if you have a passport, you're still okay. You don't need the travel ID?
Yeah. I should have been a little bit more prepared to know why I
No,
need it.
I
was just,
you know, I kind of forgot because I remember seeing those at the airport before the pandemic, and then I kind of forgot about it because I haven't traveled and, you know, I haven't needed it. But I do have a passport, so I wonder if I need to get one of those. Now, you can't use that as ID if you're driving a car, right? You still need your driver's license, right?
No, it replaces your driver's license.
Oh, okay.
So I think. Well, crap. Now I don't know.
Did they take your driver's license away?
No, but I
Yeah.
don't have my new travel ID yet. They just kind of give you here's what your picture looks like, you know, like a temporary one, and then I should get it in the mail in 7 to 10 days. So if anybody knows why I need a travel ID, I guess I'm a cow. I just kind of followed the herd. You have to get one, get it. Okay, got it.
If you know, we'll update everybody on the next podcast. 424-235-3657 is our number. I'm curious because I wonder if I need to hurry up and get something like that.
I think you do. I think you have until October. I think you have to have one.
And for our podcast listeners outside of Arizona, it's not just an Arizona thing. It's like a federal deal, right? Okay. All right. Let's see how you can do this week, Maria. I have prepared a game for you.
You are a liar. You are a fake.
Maria and Chad present.
Is this for real?
Do you ever fake it?
Get the fake out.
That was a fake.
I think I'm for real.
Before we get started, if you haven't been watching on YouTube, check out this week's YouTube because Maria's all ready for St. Patrick's Day. You got your shamrock hat on. I noticed that. Maybe it'll
My
bring you
little
luck.
lucky hat.
You have a four-leafed clover on your forehead there. All right, so I'm going to give you a bunch of headlines here. One of them is fake. In fact, I have 6 headlines, so you can play
you have a
along
lot.
if you're listening to the podcast. Figure out which one you think is fake. Number 1, Maria, a Peeps makeup line is out just in time for Easter.
Ooh, fun.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2, world record bubble blowing attempt ruined by curious hummingbird. You like that one, do you?
That's funny.
Number 3, Netflix hit miniseries The Queen's Gambit is being developed into a stage musical.
Oh. Okay.
And number 4, COVID-19 vaccine now available at some Target stores.
Oh, okay.
Number 5, school says words like mom, dad, and parents are inappropriate. And finally,
Wow. Okay.
there's a new line of Chipotle makeup if you want your face to look like a burrito.
Oh my gosh, this is good.
Uh-huh.
So I will say I know that number 1 and number 6 are true because I actually looked into the makeup lines.
Okay.
So I know that there is Peeps makeup and I know that there is Chipotle makeup.
All right.
Oh my God. You did a good job on these.
Well, I thought I'd catch you on the makeup, actually.
No. That one I knew.
All right.
Oh my gosh. The fact that mom and dad and parent are inappropriate in school. That's almost crazy enough to be true. So I'm going to say that that's true.
Okay.
Target having vaccines, maybe. Yep. I'm going to go with the world record bubblegum blowing championship was messed up by a hummingbird. That a hummingbird. I think you made that up.
Final answer?
Yes. Yeah! Final answer.
You got it. Yes. Nice job.
Thank you.
That is the fake one. Way to talk it out. Very good. Gosh, I thought I had you. In the makeup. All right, let's run through these headlines. So Peeps is making Peeps made a makeup line for Easter. So there's pastels, pinks. My daughter just wore this type of thing the other day, the light glittery look, like in your eyes and stuff like that. Make you a hot chick. You get it? Ha ha. Peeps,
Ha,
Easter chick.
ha.
That's $40. $40 for that one. The Queen's Gambit. Did you watch that on Netflix?
It is amazing. So good. And that was my second one. I almost thought you made that one up because we're going to go, checkmate, checkmate.
It probably would, right? It's going to be, it's a stage musical. Chess is super popular right now. I can kind of see why they're doing it. Not that I would ever go see it. I thought the series was good. I thought it was a little slow in the middle. Like it kind of drug on a little bit. But I'm not a huge chess person, but there's that. So COVID-19 coming to Target stores. So it's going to be in some states. And I don't know. I haven't checked if Arizona has it yet, but they are getting the vaccine at Target stores. So that is a real headline. Chipotle has their own makeup to make you look like a burrito. They actually wrote that in the marketing stuff. I was like, I had to read it twice. They teamed up with Elf Cosmetics, and it's all based on like Chipotle food items. It costs $18, so it's cheaper than a Peeps makeup set, but whatever. And then there's a school that says words like mom, dad, and parents are inappropriate. This is stupid. A private school
just
in New York City.
Stupid.
What's that?
It's just stupid.
Yeah. It's all about being politically correct. They told the teachers and the staff that these words make assumptions of kids' living arrangements, status, etc. And they offered, let me ask you, what words do you think they should use instead of mom, dad, and parents?
Mom, dad, and parents? I
No,
have no
you
idea.
can't use those words. What would be more politically correct?
Breadwinner and...
That's good.
And housekeeper. I don't know.
Well, they are at a private school in New York City, so they're probably the housekeeper
right?
at home. The words that they recommended were grown-ups, folks, family, or guardians.
Okay. I don't even know what to say because
Say it.
come on, people. What you can have parents. They could be two moms, parents.
Right.
They could be two dads, parents.
I want to go home and see my folks. What is this, 1951?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where it's getting right now, right? It drives me nuts.
I'm going to call my guardians. They're the guardians of the galaxy. They're also my parents.
Yeah. That really has gone too far. That is like so irritating. If my daughter came home and said, "Hey, I'm not allowed to call you mom," I'd be like, "Screw them! You're calling me mom." It's
pretty crazy. All right, that wraps up Get the Fake Out.
The final question.
This is going to go a different direction, Maria, completely. I know you're all riled up about a private school in New York City, but you got to let it go. You got to let it go,
No,
Maria.
You just call me mama.
The question that you need to answer, and all of our podcast listeners need to answer, in your life, what person do you like better as a memory? So thinking about your past, like maybe, let me explain it a little bit better. Like somebody that maybe was part of your life for a while, they're not anymore, and you like them as that memory, but you're happy they're not part of your life today for some reason.
I will not mention names.
Okay.
I'm going to be the coward and not mention names, but there have been a few people in my life while living in Arizona that I think were a bad influence.
Okay.
I think maybe too much drinking, too many drugs. They were just a bad influence.
Yeah.
So at the time, I think I thought they were my friends and we did hang out. But in hindsight, good riddance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And that you don't have to get into too much detail. I will name a first name, and the people that know this person will know immediately who I'm talking about. And I want to tell you the origin of this question, by the way, after I give you my answer, because this actually came from my wife and I talking. But my answer would be a guy named Danny that I worked with in Florida, who was a close friend, and I moved there because he was a close friend, and there was a great job opportunity to work with him. And working with a friend seemed like a great option. Once I got there, I realized what I never knew of him as a friend. He had so many personal demons that like carried over to his work life that affected me.
Yeah.
I am so happy that I have no part. I don't talk to that guy anymore. We're not Facebook friends. Like and that is by choice. I think mutually. I think he blames me for his issues because he doesn't want to own that he screwed up. You know what I mean? So it's
Right,
kind of
right.
I'm just happy that chapter of my life is over. So the reason this question came up, again, the question, in your life, what person do you like better as a memory? My wife is Facebook friends with a guy who liked her a lot when she was, I think, high school, like maybe freshman, sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived in a small town, so much so that this is the guy that I always knew of. His name's Bruce. Bruce rode his horse to Stephanie's house to like hit on her. So like she looked out the window and she's like, there's a guy and a horse out in the yard. That was Bruce. And then I think he wrote a song for her at one point and recorded it on a cassette. So
That's
he was
romantic.
He was really into Steph. So some reason he came up in conversation and she goes, have you seen him lately? And I'm like, I only met him one time, like later on in life. And she said, he is basically unrecognizable. This guy who was like long wavy hair, riding the horse, good looking teen guy is like 400 and some pounds. Like he's like he's Jared from the Subway diet before the diet.
Wow.
And she showed me the picture. And I couldn't even recognize him because there's a picture of him in high school in a Corvette. And then a picture of him now, like, holy cow,
Like literally, holy cow.
Yeah, literally, holy cow. Yeah, so that was her answer. I guess that's how we came up with the question for that. So it can mean a lot of different things to different people, but she's happy that I think her answer is more about she's glad that she didn't end up with him, as he's turned out. You know what I mean?
Well, let me just say, maybe he is in the shape he is now because he did not get Stephanie and he turned to food instead. So it's actually Stephanie's fault he's like this.
Or he's really a cannibal and he wanted to eat Stephanie. Is that what you're saying? I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes. He wanted to cut her up in little pieces with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
This podcast has taken a turn. All right. If you want to answer our new final question, in your life, what person do you like better as a memory? You could call us 24/7. Operators are not standing by. You leave us a voicemail at this number, 424.
Go ahead. I don't have it in front of me.
All right, here we go. 424-235-3657. Call us right now. 424-235-3657.
Thanks again for listening to Doing Life with Maria and Chad. Follow us on Instagram at Maria and Chad and Facebook. You can now listen for free in all these places. The radio.com app, on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, the Amazon Music app, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Podbean, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode.